just want to believe you can see my screen from the end there. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Mr. Kamil, I think you need to be a bit louder.
Okay. Can we all see my screen now? Can you hear my voice? Is it loud enough? Let me know if I'm audible enough. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Confirm it's audible enough now.
Yeah,
Kamil is audible.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining this section, and it's nice being the speaker for this section today. I will be taking you through the presentation. And before I go on, I want to say thank you to the Region 9, for having me to do this presentation. It's an opportunity for me to really express my passionate topic, which is more of culture, basically. And I think I've presented something similar in the past, and it's good that we share a practical experience. I must tell you that this evening we're going to have an interactive section, and now I'm speaking to professionals here, and I want to make it more interactive as we can. At the end of this section, we're going to have a collective understanding of psychological safety and sociocultural factor in construction workplace, and it will help us as safety professionals to improve safety performance, productivity, and well-being of our people. So also, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of learning experience within my years of experience and what I've experienced in the field. So these are the learning outcomes we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at psychological safety. We're going to look at safety management, leadership commitment, construction, and the workforce. With workforce in construction, how we deal with them. We're going to look at psychological safety and standard development around it. Then we'll see how we want to enhance productivity using the communication approach. Then we'll
Mr. Kamil?
Yes.
We cannot see your screen. Are you sharing anything?
Yes, I'm sharing my screen.
But we cannot see it, sir.
Kamil, your voice is very low. It's very low. We cannot hear you.
Okay, let me know if you can see my screen now.
No, not yet.
Okay. Good. Okay. Confirm we can see my screen now.
Yeah, we can see now. We can see. Yes, Kamil, we can see it now.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Also, slightly be louder because, as Mr. Daniel said, some people are not able to hear it.
Okay. I believe you can hear me very well now.
Yeah, I can. I'm not sure about others. I can.
Very well. Again, let me know who can hear me very well now. Okay. So can we go on, please? Hello? Hello, I want to believe you can hear me very well now.
Yes, Kamil, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want someone to confirm that we can hear from my side here. So good.
Yeah, we can hear you. But maybe probably more louder, slightly more louder, if you can.
Thank you. Let me know if you can hear me louder now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So thanks very much. So I'm going further into psychological safety. I'm going to give you an overview into what we're looking at. We're looking into the human involvement based on the brain's fight and flight. As we move on in the industry and as we move on, we discover that the opportunity is there for people to respond in a different way in terms of safety culture and performance outcome in achieving organizational and embracing safety culture as we talked about it. In construction over the years, we will discover that the high risk is in the construction industry and well-being at workplace, with approximately 20% of all workforce fatality occurring in the construction industry. And this is mind-boggling. And we tend to look into the environment and how tense the environment is over the years. And we can see that the workplace will need to address compliance towards safety production. Safety and production is a concern, and the culture of blame and fear of failure are limited communication of plan or communication and leading to productivity and mental health of workforce. Bringing us to a reality of how human have evolved over the years. Like I noted, the flight and fight in response to a threat that brings a situation where one needs to own the status of position, knowledge, and experience of the personality. And these response lead to a destructive or defensive behavior within the workplace. And we see that a lot in the construction industry, if you will agree with it. And before I go on, I just need us to take a little moment. As a professional, I want us to write in the chat if you have had the opportunity to really engage with following an incident at work site and to engage with a victim of incident or to engage with the family. Please just say yes in the chat box so that we can see the response we are getting on that. Can we quickly just do that and drop your chat to see if you have experienced an incident on site and you have to meet with the victim or to meet with the family of the victim in the course of incident. That will also help us see what we are looking at in terms of the impact and the psychological effect when incident will happen at workplace and more importantly constructions. Thank you. I can see some people are dropping their comments in there. Now we're going to be moving into safety management. The traditional approach into safety management will focus more on negative ways, the way we look at it as safety professional. We identify those hazards and evaluate the potentials of hazard to cause harm or injury or illness. We look at the damage to property and to the environment, and we recommend administrative engineering control at some point, and we also look to eliminate, minimize the risk, and also address the danger posed by this hazard that we identify. That's what we do traditionally. And the scope and function of safety professional position shall be to anticipate this, identify, evaluate the hazard and condition and practices, develop hazard and control design method to really manage this. This is what we do regularly. And implement administrative and advise others of the hazard and control, and put measures of provide an audit or inspection to be able to evaluate this situation. But that has to have a little bit of changes. So we need to look at safety management as we see it. The impression that all accidents are caused by people of poor attitude at workplace. In other words, the threat of everyone in some way and adopt a scattergun approach to changing the people's attitude by showing a particular safety video to be able to, and that's what we do. We deploy safety training to be able to address the concerns we've identified with the hope that these view or subsequently change the behavior we are trying to change. But I'll need to ask within the audience on this call to drop on the chart if this measure in the course of safety management in our traditional approach has actually changed. You had a safety video with the guy, you had a toolbox talk with the guy, you had the training, refresher training. Those accidents really change. Do we have those accidents really change? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves at some point. And we talk about the occurrence, if we all recall. We talk about the occurrence of these incidents. So I'm going to take you into the safety management and some of the failures and the questions we're going to ask ourselves. So I need us to respond to this question. Why would these attempts that we deploy fail? We identify an accident, we deploy measures in place, we retrain, we provide video for people to understand, for people that have language barrier issue, but at the same time, this incident will still occur. Why does this happen? So if we put in the chart what we are looking at, we will see that at some point, we lack understanding of the workforce attitude, which is the first thing that we need to look into in any workplace, but more importantly in construction environment. We lack the understanding of the workforce attitude and their social-cultural background. And I've discussed it in some fora times without number, that social-cultural background is very key. That is why the diverse team on this call, if you are looking into an Nigerian that needs to be on this call, you want to be able to ask the person to say hello to him and say Bawode. And you want to talk to an Indian that is in a multicultural environment, you want to say Apkase, and you want to talk to another version of an Indian in another tribe, you want to say Ederigile, which is from Tamil part. And you want to talk to a Filipino, which is most of what we have within the Middle East environment and some parts of the globe, where we have diverse workforce. You want to talk to a Filipino person that is also on the side. You also want to connect with the social cultural background of that individual. That is the first thing to make a real difference. And that has really helped in the course of my career. So attitude of your workforce is key. You need to know who they are, the social cultural background, what is their culture in terms of celebration, what is their culture in terms of food, what is their culture in terms of relationship and friendship. And we need to tie into these to be able to really make an impact. So lack of leadership engagement in reinforcing safety values and goals. Then when you identify your team's culture, you really need to engage when you're starting a project to be able to reinforce what is the values that we are looking at as a team and what are the goals that we want to get out of the particular project you are working on as a team. And these approach, engaging them to draw up the values, the goals, tying into the policy of the organization you're working on, the clients you're working with, and everybody has a buy-in. It will be a collective outcome to be able to address this failure. So the way to see the improvement of work performance as a means of improving safety performance is just the way to go. So our approach is what to us, rather than seeing safety management as a means of improving work performance, we need to see it differently and see that an improvement of work performance as a means of improving safety performance. I don't know if you guys get me on this call, that rather than seeing safety management as a means of improving work performance, we need to look at it differently as the improvement of work performance as a means of improving safety performance. So what we're saying invariably is that we are still tying back to attitude of your workforce. The improvement of the work performance as a means to improve safety performance. So the work performance, the workforce performance, and who they are, engaging them, looking at the values and the goals we want to achieve to be able to get them to be more involved. It's the first thing that we all need to take into an account. And then you now go into the culture of the psychological safety at this point of time. The concept now is you now want to remember what we said, creating an environment of trust where everyone feels comfortable to discuss mistakes, ask for help, and share ideas without fear of reparation or fear of being victimized at some point. That's what we say at the initial start, the overview of what we mean by psychological safety. So at this point, looking at that, we intend to now have an indicative, because we tend to internalize the view and believe of significant others as a line manager, as a colleague, and as a co-worker. We need to tie into this individual to be able to understand that based on their behavior and the way they think, they learn, and particularly the behaviors which we get from this individual. So when leaders turn out a blind eye to unsafe behavior, to suit productivity needs at some point, labor also understand that unsafe behavior is the correct way of behaving. So because of these productivity output is more important than safety. And when we put this forward, the labor force picked it up. And when they pick it up, you can be rest assured that we are working towards a disaster. And that means we're not going to be achieving the set goals that we set out. So invariably, as leaders, we need to walk that talk. We need to lead, because the puzzles that we see there, based on this animation I put together for you, the labor will put it together the way they see you put it together. So that's what we're saying. So now, within the construction environment, we know we have various directions that we are giving. But at the same time, those directions only come into life when the workforce behavior is not only determined by their attitude, but also by the evaluation of the immediate situation and the likely outcome of their behavior in that situation. So we need to be able to understand our team, especially when we're in the construction environment. We want to determine their attitude and also be able to see the evolution of the immediate situation and the likely outcome of their behavior in these situations that we find ourselves. So ensuring management commitment, the most salient feature that affects people's motivation is the totality of commitment of senior management. And if you look into our ISO 45001, which was issued on operational health and safety, you can see leadership commitment is a key requirement for us to really drive change within organization. So the development of a proactive safety culture is an empowering process that aims to win workforce hearts and mind. So it's only when you win their mind and get their mind focused, then in that way, the psychological safety in construction is an empowering process that aims to win the workforce hearts and mind. And when we connect with the heart and mind, and how do we do that? I tell you, to really achieve that as safety professionals, our attempt in order to ensure that we tie into constant consultation, collaboration, and facilitation engagement, and connecting to the heart and mind. And what do I mean by that? We need to ensure that you make safety personal to these personnel. And I'll give you an example. I woke up to a site at a particular time, and the first thing we lay down is that the purpose of all of us here is to ensure we return everyone back home to their family. If we are not going to be achieving that, then we will not be starting this site. Do we have a consensus? Returning everyone home as a colleague, as a brother, as a friend on this work site is key to us, because those families waiting for them need them more than us. Another point, you're actually connecting to the heart, and they're looking at you as a leader that is trying to make a difference. So the ethical responsibility to achieve this tie into the culture we are trying to talk about. When you consult regularly, have a consultation, have an engagement, and personalize it. When you walk out there on site, you need to have an engagement. How are you? How is your family? And what I get in return, at times you could hear a worker tell you, do you really want to know? And when you say, is there anything you would like to share? If you think it's okay with you. And if you give them a listening ear, you just see that they'll tell you, well, I just shared it with you, but I know you can't do anything, but thank you for listening to me. And I've seen that happen to me. And in so doing, you're trying to connect with the culture, and your actions will be able to in responding to those culture and the behavior that demonstrate a commitment to safety over competing goals and demand is key. If you look at the way this cultural chart is coming up, is tying into the psychological part of it, how people feel. How do you make people feel when you work with them? What people do in terms of when you look at it behaviorally, you have responsibility also. That's why initially when I spoke, I said you need to be able to understand the workforce attitude. How does he behave? What is his way of life? Then what is his response? Then when situation arises, what are the organizational factors? How do we respond as an organization when situation arises? Do we go out there to actually kick out the workforce and say you're the one that's at fault? But I tell you, when situation arises, we all look out for the supervisor. And one other thing is that when you are out there and you make that statement first and say, guys, the tax we have on this side is the accountable person is the supervisor. And you make it clear that I'm not going to hold a worker responsible, a labor responsible, but the supervisor will give an account. Is the competent person, is the one giving direction. So responding in situations is also key. to be able to see how you tie into the values you share at the start of the project side, and also the goals you set and your attitude. Like I said, remember, they will look out for your attitude and how you respond. It's very important for them. And those things will tie back to say, yes, you're connecting to them. You have their interests at heart. If you're not achieving that, you will not even get the information that you need to hear when things go down. So I'm going to ask put you up on another pedestrian to remind everyone that as a high performing team, record making more mistakes. That's what we see. Or an high performing team within the workplace, the record shows that they make more mistakes. And when you need to do things differently, this research has shown that when you allow people to make mistakes and take responsibility and be able to follow up with them on their area of mistake and listen to them what went wrong and hear how they want to improve on this mistake, I believe it is very important that we realize that those events don't really occur again. So how do we want to help to improve that psychological safety in the workforce? This will bring us into us looking at a standard chart. The same way we look at threat SWOT analysis. This is also coming into psychological safety where we have a standard chart to be able to look at that. And that standard is looking at the low standard of it, the high standard in terms of the safety standard you want to set to how you want to operate on site. And when you have a high psychological safety at site or a low psychological safety, if you look at the quadrant, if you try to extrapolate it, in a situation where you have a high psychological safety and a high standard, you have a high performance turnout zone, like we can see on these zones that we're seeing here. The high performance zone, because you have a high standard of compliance and you also have a high psychological safety in terms of bringing culture and people together, tying into their values and their personal social cultural background. You have a high standard of safety. But when you decide to take a low standard and also a high psychological safety, you just get to a comfort zone as well. When you look at that point, you are just at a comfort zone. But at the same time, when this situation now changes, when you have a low psychological safety and a low standard, you have an apathy zone where things go ablaze. We all need to decide which quadrant we want to be. And when you set those standards, very low psychological safety, and you have a high standard, you see morale drop, anxiety setting on site. Everybody is looking at the standard, and if you are caught in violation of the standard, there's a penalty, anxiety setting, and you also get a low productivity. Without compromising standard, we can still achieve a high performance. That's what we're saying. So increasing your psychological safety within the work environment really determines the outcome we want to achieve. People behavior is not only determined by their attitude, but also by their evaluation of their immediate situation and the likely outcome of the behavior in that situation that we're looking at, like mentioned earlier. So I need us to look at it differently and be able to decide which quadrant we want to keep to. So understanding psychological safety is key for all of us. And we're going to dive into that. The first thing I'm going to look at is leadership. When you pick up psychological safety within the construction workforce, it's important that you actually influence. That influence part is key. Influencing in relationship, influencing friendship within the workforce. And when this happens, you get to know things at first and before things go wrong outside. And you get people to buy in. When you, as a leader, you influence their attitude, the perception you now set in, and values you set, and the target you set goes a long way. And when you give an helping hand, you actually connect with the mind and heart. And you see people trying to tend towards you and being able to achieve the values and targets we want to achieve. Endurance also sets in, and the need for us to be patient, to endure, to listen, to consult, to collaborate, and to engage, to be able to drive the target. And that continuous engagement in the long run sets you off as a leader and will be achieving the difference you want to make. How do we view leadership in construction sites? I'd like us to pop up into the chat by your own thought. What is your perception when we look at leadership? Again, we look at common sense. It's not so common. That's what the particular sayer said. And more importantly, the sum of your unique perception, experience as professional, to play a greater role to address issues, not the individual or perceptions of the situation or act, but your approach. Common sense is not common, but your approach determines how you address situational occurrence when they do happen within the work environment. How you respond matters. How you connect with the heart and mind is key, and that relationship goes a long way. I'm going to share this with you. What you're seeing here is one of the safety week we have with construction team, contractors on site. And we brought all of them in as one team. And we put them together. It's just, we're showing what? People don't care on how much you know until they know how much you care. So connecting with culture and the social cultural background, the psychology of the team matters a lot. And it shows how you care. And when they see those care, they tend to attend and listen to you as a professional. So the science of connecting directly benefit people's well-being throughout their life. It also improves human relations and life satisfaction beyond the workplace. So you show that connection and you get involved, really goes a long way in making that difference. Remember when we started, connecting with heart and mind. You have that thought to tell them your family needs you at all times. And when you connect with the team and the workforce with family first, people tend to listen and connect with you as an individual. It was a great opportunity. I'm going to share this communication which I had in the workplace recently when we had an event. And another thing for us to volunteer to serve is key. You see, when they see you volunteer, when you go during the time that you have your workforce want to eat in construction site, you volunteer to give water to them as a team, or get your safety team together and say, okay, guys, let's support the team on site today. We're at the mess hall and let's try and do something. And when you connect with them that way, it also goes a long way, because our role is actually all about humanity. Like we say from our team from South Africa, we call it Ubuntu. So connecting with people, it goes a long way. So I dish out an email following a gathering that we have with families. Yeah, and I want to share that with you. It was a great opportunity to volunteer for humanity and contribute to the success of the company Generation Next Day event. In this event, what did we do? Before and during the event, I took a moment to reflect on why I got involved. A few reasons stood up. The joy of meeting colleagues with their wonderful kids and witnessing similar smiles all around within the workplace. The inspiring experience of spending time with children in the craft zone reminds me of my commitment as a safety professional to go extra mile in ensuring my colleagues return home safely to their loved ones every day. And I pick up a quote: discover your uniqueness and exploit it in service to others, and you are guaranteed success, prosperity, and happiness. And at the end, behind being a safety professional is truly a way of life. And I remain dedicated to pursue of a safer workplace for all. So the question I'm going to ask now is that, as professional, how will you respond to safety advice or directive if you receive this email from your safety leader? Can you just pop up in the chat? I want to see what guys are putting up in the chat so that I can see. As a safety leader, if you receive this kind of email and you now get a directive from your safety, or you got a safety advice to be able to carry out a particular type of workplace, how will you respond? You could see the connection between heart and mind. These similar emails is very critical from time to time within the work environment. Even if it's shared on social, put on the notice board on a short note, and you see people connect, or during toolbox talk meeting, all you are trying to do is to connect with your heart and mind and to get the team focused. So guys, it's time for a little quiz, and I want us to really put up, if you have contributions to this, I want us to really respond as we pop up on these true or false questions that we're going to be sharing with each other. We have just about few more time on this call, but I want us to do this quickly. Safety is not the absence of accident. It is the presence of capacity. True or false? Just put in the chat and just say question one. If you say true or false, that will be welcome. I just want to know. I can see people popping up their response in the chat. Saying an event was caused by error or not following procedure is like saying an object fell due to gravity. It's always true if it doesn't tell us anything, right? True or false? Being a good safety manager, it's about controlling whether workers make mistakes. True or false? For question number 4. Workers don't cause failure. They trigger latent condition that lies dormant in an organization, waiting the right moment in time and the correct alignment factor. It is not what failed, it is what failed. It is not who failed, it is what failed. True or false? That we need to look at. So the organization focuses on enabling workers to complete work tasks successfully. True or false? So in all these, we can see as safety professionals, these are some of the things that comes up and we have to take decision about. And I thank those that have made some inputs there. And there are no wrong and right answer, depending on the position you take as a professional while you are in the work site. Determines the outcome that we get. So leadership, it's all about buy-in for professionals. Intervening through a systematic behavioral improvement approach is key to really make the latent difference that we want to achieve on site. Drive safe behavior with focus on sociocultural diversity. The diversity of your workforce is very key, and your attention to everyone and tying into their sociocultural diversity really goes a long way to make a difference for you in your field. It has worked for me, and I believe it can work for any of our safety professionals over the years. Engagement and communication, and really face-to-face engagement with using the old communication tools, ensuring you are having an eye contact, ensuring that you're showing the body language when to show that you're listening. And if you need to show empathy because of that communication, demonstrate that empathy to the person you are engaging with, to show that you're listening and you're fully connected with heart and mind because of your communication. And that relationship is also key. When you build up a good relationship, you get to know what's going to go wrong. Even when the work plan is not provided for you on construction site, from the construction manager, you will get the information to tell you this is what is planned. And when things will go wrong, you will get to know because of relationship. So you need to build bridges and not to break them. Recognitions and award. Please be what? Be very lavish with giving recognition and reward. And positive comment on site is very important as well. When you give positive feedback, positive recognition, and giving reward for performance goes a long way to reinforce those safety behaviors that we want them to keep emulating. In so doing, I can tell we can bring incident or related accident down within the work environment. If I believe that workers will speak up when they believe it is in their best interest, it is my job to get workers to want to or feel safe doing so. So at this point, I want to tell you that you stand out all the time and people look up to you, us as safety professionals. We have a collective understanding because of this engagement on psychological safety and the sociocultural factor in construction workplace and how it helps safety professionals improve safety performance, help productivity, and the well-being of our workforce towards meeting incident-free workplace. It's key. Like I said, you will always stand out from the crowd. People look up to us as safety professionals. And if we believe that workers will speak up when they believe it is in their best interest, it is my job as a safety professional to get workers to want to or feel safe doing so, to speaking up. And by your way of listening, and because of that reactions, it goes a long way to make it happen. I would like to take a question at this point. I just want to be sure that we have created more time so that we can have a conversation because I know I have professional members on the call. I want to share experience. So if you have one or two things to say, it will be appreciated that you can just put up your hand. I want to thank you for your attention at this time. And I want us to share, I want us to open up our mind to have people bring in some comments and let's see what we have learned from each other and also contribute in one way or the other in the course of this engagement. Thank you, over to you.
Thank you.
Bala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamel. Thank you so much for your wonderful session.
I'd like to take
gentlemen,
comments. If you have people on the call that would like to